What is the Ikea effect? In this video, we're going to dive into that and more. Hi there, my name is Josh. I have over 10 years of experience in technical writing. I'm also the founder of Technical Writer HQ. And before we dive into the video, take a moment to subscribe to our channel, and that way you won't miss any of our future videos. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So, understanding psychology is a fundamental skill to be successful as a technical writer. And psychology is an essential part of our lives. In fact, it allows us to answer many of the unknowns. And now, one of the most exciting concepts related to psychology and technical writing is what's called the Ikea effect. And this is defined as a cognitive bias in which people tend to give enormous value to products that are partially created by themselves. And the Ikea effect is applied in technical writing by simplifying processes and instructions, resulting in greater engagement by end users. And according to experts, the Ikea effect is a cognitive bias of assigning greater emotional value to the things we get involved in during their creation process. And as you might imagine, this term derives from the furniture trading giant Ikea. And this company is world famous for selling ready-to-assemble furniture instead of pre-assembled furniture. And interestingly enough, a 2011 study showed that over 60% of subjects were willing to pay more for furniture they had to put together over their pre-assembled counterparts. And the Ikea effect is deeply related to the effort-reward cycle, according to which the more we put effort into something, well, the better we feel about that effort. For example, who hasn't felt like a computer whiz when installing a new software? And if you've ever felt that way, well, you have experienced the Ikea effect. Or maybe it was just simply putting together a chair or putting together a table in your living room. And we all like to do things for ourselves and proudly look at the result of our effort. And when you finish a do-it-yourself project, the most common thing is to call everyone to see what you did and receive some compliments. Another exciting aspect of the Ikea effect is that doing something on your own is enough to increase the value of the final result. And ironically, this going against the rational thinking of human beings. For example, if you go to a restaurant and have to prepare your own dish, well, the most logical thinking is to ask for a discount, right? But the Ikea effect means that, contrary to what we would think, we're actually happy to pay more for that said dish because we were involved in its creation. And that's why there's many experiences today where you can pay to create food and a cook will guide you. An essential condition for the Ikea effect is the successful completion of such work. And if the final result is not a resounding success, well, the person will feel frustrated and reject their effort, which leads to negative feelings towards a specific product or activity. Now, if we translate this into the technical writing world, well, the Ikea effect seeks to simplify the communication process. In fact, it's something that works so well that many companies try to copy the style of the Ikea catalogs and how-to guides. While the team members and developers and engineers who work on creating products may understand complex information, the end user relies heavily on the instruction manual and their analytical ability to interpret and follow those instructions. And the Ikea effect acquires great importance in simplifying the processes and effective communication in technical writing. And many companies try to copy the structure of the Ikea catalogs because of their efficient presentation, making it very easy for the end user to read and understand. And as a technical writer, you must produce specific and highly informative documentation while condensing a large amount of often complex information into easy to understand pieces for the end user. And it's no easy job to do this. The companies that make the most of the Ikea effect are those capable of providing simple instructions that guide the user from the start to the achievement of the final result. So maybe putting together a particular product, getting started with a particular software, and much more. And now that you know the Ikea effect and its benefits, you may be wondering how to get the most out of it. Well, there are 3 key points that will help you get the most out of this Ikea effect. So you want to set up a challenge difficult enough to require an effort, but not so complex that the user risks failing. And the user wants to feel rewarded for their effort, but for this to happen, the user will have to face challenging processes. So you need a fine balance here. And as a technical writer, writing documentation, in order for someone to use a product, this can be hard to really find that balance. And you don't want the user to fail during some essential step and compromise the result. An example of this may be installation of a software product, and if the installation requires a critical step and the user skips it, the software will most likely not work as it should, or maybe not get installed at all, and that would be very frustrating. And this would cancel the Ikea effect since the user will not have successfully completed the challenge. So you want to set parameters that promote effort reward and let the users know that their actions from where they acquire the product until they start using it are essential for its proper functioning. The user wants to feel that their contribution is as essential as that of the product's engineers and developers. So you must ensure that your documentation establishes parameters that promote the effort reward cycle. And this will help the end user develop a feeling of loyalty to the product and generate greater loyalty to the company that sold the product. And this approach is widely used in marketing to increase sales. And it can also be applied in many different industries like technology industries for the same purpose. The last step is probably the most essential here, simplifying your documentation to suit your audience. And in most cases, the end user does not have the same understanding of a product or software as its creators. For this reason, your technical documentation must be user-friendly and easy to read, and simply easy to understand if you're also using illustrations, right? Otherwise, you risk the end user finding the instructions for using and installing the product too complex. And Ikea is successful because it provides these simple, concise instructions for turning something complex, like assembling furniture, into a fun, dynamic, and challenging process, but yet something that gets always completed. And before we finish, let's go ahead and recap here. So the Ikea effect is a cognitive bias that makes us give more value to things where we have an active role. It is firmly attached to the effort reward cycle and helps the end user to create a feeling of loyalty towards the company that sells this product. And in technical writing, the Ikea effect is a great help in boosting sales. To get the most out of the Ikea effect, companies in the tech industry must invest enough time, money, and staff to create reliable, accurate, and user-friendly technical documentation that guides end users through the installation and adaptation process. And if you have any questions or something to add, feel free to drop it in the comment section below this video. I love reading and interacting with you, and if you have ideas about the Ikea effect or videos that you want to see, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, of course, make sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel so you can receive more useful content on technical writing, and I'll go ahead and see you in some of those following videos. Cheers.